Hello, everyone, and welcome to Makeover Monday. Oh gosh, I don't even know what week it is, but yeah, this is Makeover Monday. Watch Me Viz. If you are new to this, what is going on here? Why can I not see my screen? I'm messing something up. There we go. Okay, so if you are, oops, sorry. Okay, there we go. I think we're better off now. If you are watching this live, I would love to see if you could just leave a comment so I can see that. So I know you can see the screen and that you can hear me. That would be great. So you should be able to see this both on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So if somebody could leave a comment, that would be fantastic. And it looks like everything is good to go. So it's hard to know if this is actually live without a comment, but I'll go ahead and get started. So I need to adjust my screen here for a minute. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, you sound okay on YouTube. All right, thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. All right, so what we're going to do today is we are going to, if you're new to Watch Me Viz, basically what I do is I take the data set from Makeover Monday and I go ahead and try to create something interesting. Tom, I think LinkedIn has a bit of a delay, so that could be the problem there. Let me try to go live on LinkedIn and see what happens. Okay, wait for the host to start. Okay, great. Well, thanks for that, Tom. Let me bring up that screen again. And very annoying that it didn't go live. Okay, so oh, I need to hit the go live button. There we go. That would help. Okay, just give me a couple of seconds here while that goes live. Okay, so we should be good to go live now. Okay, there we go. All right, that should be good to go. Thanks, Tom, for checking that. It should be live on LinkedIn now as well. So getting back to what I was saying. So these Watch Me Viz sessions, these are designed to help you learn how I approach a data set brand new. And from there, we will build a visualization, maybe quickly look at the data set itself. And it's got me in portrait mode for some reason. Give me 1 second. So the camera, sorry, it's been a while since I've done this. And for some reason, it has me it's rotated my screen somehow. Okay, well, I think you can see me okay. So let's just go ahead and get to it. So let me go ahead and minimize myself. Let me just shrink that down. Oops. So we should be good to go. And if I show me, I should be in the bottom corner. Okay, I think we're good to go now. So if anybody has any questions along the way, please feel free to ask them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. So there's actually no visualization that goes with Makeover Monday this week. The data set is from Kaggle. And it is election data from 1976 to 2020. Of course, unless you live under a rock, you know that there is an election coming up pretty soon with former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at different ways we can visualize the election results from 1976 to 2020. And the data set itself looks like this. So it's very, very simple. It's got the year and the hang on a second. Let me close this other window. Let me close that. Okay, there we go. So this has the year, the state. It's got codes, FIPS codes. I don't really know what this means, this 63, 94. So some of the stuff, there actually isn't any documentation for what the fields mean. The office, so I'm only looking at presidential data, but the candidates, their primary party, but actually I'm probably going to look at this this column over here. So that's the party simplified. So basically it's Democrat, Republican, and other. I guess we do have Libertarian here as well. So I'll probably group Libertarian with the other as well. And total votes and the candidate number of votes. So we could then, because we have the total number of votes, we could come up with the percentage as well. So maybe what I'll do is now we'll do that inside of Tableau. So if I look at, for example, if I highlight 1976, let me see, 1976 Alabama, we get 1.18285. Okay, so these numbers do add up to the total, so that's good to know. All right, so let's go ahead and flip on over to Tableau. And again, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to let me know. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to this data set. And it is in my Makeover Monday. Where's my Makeover Monday folder? There we go. Data 2024. It's been quite a while since I've done one of these. When's the last time I did one? February, in May. Oh, so not too long ago. So I need to find the data set. US presidential. There we go. That's not it. There we go. This one here. And now we see we have these columns. So Tableau brought in the year as a continuous field because all it sees is numbers. I'm going to get rid of some of these columns that I know I'm not going to use. So let me go ahead and hide those. And the office, if I look at the alias for these, okay, it's only US president. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that. And the write-in, I'm going to go ahead and hide that. So let's call this votes. I'm going to rename this, and I'll rename this one total votes. And then the version, we could hide that. The notes, we can go ahead and hide that. And then the party simplified, we're probably going to change that a little bit. So we can create a group directly from here. And maybe I'll just rename this as party. I might get an error message because I think the party field already exists, but I'm going to combine libertarian and other, and I'm going to just rename that as other and click on OK. And if I scroll where to put the party field, there it goes. There's our party. So now we just have three parties, which I think will simplify the analysis quite a bit. Okay, so we've now reduced the number of columns. I'm going to rename this one as state abbreviation. Again, just trying to make things a bit easier to understand. Okay, so for me, the kind of natural place to start on this is just looking at the number of the number of votes over time. So I'm just going to drag year to the columns, and I'll put the party onto color, and maybe just the number of votes on the rows. Okay, so we can see something like that. Oh, look at that! It already kind of defaulted Democrat and Republican to the right colors. Oh, that's interesting. So we have something like that, you know, there's more people voting, right? But that doesn't really tell us a lot because the population is growing as well. So it might be useful to look at this probably as the percent of total instead. So we have the, so here, for example, we can see the year versus the, you know, so the 1984, that was Ronald Reagan. He won by a landslide. We see here 2008. So 2008 was Obama, I think. Isn't it Obama? So he won by a landslide there as well. So what's interesting is the Democrats have the last 4 elections have won the popular vote, but they haven't won all 4 elections, which I still find that fascinating in the US. It's supposed to be a representative system, yet it's not. So we're going to go ahead and create a percent of total calculation. Now, the problem is if I put total votes onto, let me just put it on the tooltip. You'll see here, for example, in 1976, there's 81 million total votes, 81 here. But here, there's 442,000 or 442 million because it's adding together those 81 million. So if I change this to an average, you'll see we've got 40, 38, right? So then let's see, or sorry, the total votes. Yeah, so it still doesn't match up right. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to basically ignore this total vote. So again, what's happening here is because there are multiple parties within the other category, it's now adding together those total votes. So if I flip back over to the Excel spreadsheet, and we've got this total votes column, but what Tableau is doing is it's adding up these records because they all are there are all the other parties. So it's giving us, 5.9 million instead of the 1.18 million. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually convert my votes to a percent of total. So I'm going to add a table calculation. I don't know what happened there. I'm going to, oh, it's on my second screen. That's the problem. We're going to make this a percent of total calculation. And we are going to look at it. We want to look for each year, the percent by party. And there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and just drag this over here and I'll call this percent of votes, percent of vote. Okay, so now we have that field we can use over and over again. Okay, all right. So Parth, this is not a Q&A session, so I'm not going to answer your question. Okay, so we've got something like that, right? So we can see the percent of total, which makes it, I think, is a bit easier to look at. Now, it has the decimal places and things like that, but I don't really want that. So I'm going to change my default number format for my percentages to 0 decimals. There's no need to go to 2 decimals for that. So, 5147 is probably fine, and then other is 2. Doesn't, yes. Okay, what happened there? Okay, I must have had a bit of a flicker in my screen there. Just if somebody could in the chat, let me know that you can still see me. That would be great. Okay, yeah. So it looks like it flickered out for a second, but I think we are good to go. Okay, yeah, we're back in business. Okay, so there's a couple different visualizations that I've created in the past that I think might be interesting with this data set that I'm going to take you through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my data source, and I'm going to connect this. I'm going to connect a second data source. And if I go to my same folder, I have this one called US tile maps. And if I look at this tile map data source, so let me look at that. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. I think my internet must be going in and out. So sorry for that. Okay. So down here in this this referential integrity and cardinality section. So this is based off of these two fields because we've only done this single join. And in the cardinality, if you hover over that, it says values in state abbreviation aren't unique. Well, we have multiple years and the states get repeated across those years. So that needs to stay as many. But in the US tile maps, we know that each state is only in there once. So I'm going to change this to 1. And then in the reference, good to go. Sorry about the issues with the live stream. Okay, so I'm going to rename this as our presidential. Let's see, presidential election data. Okay, something simple like that. And let me go ahead and go over to sheet 1. And there we go. Okay, so now the beauty of this is I could, for example, just drag the state on here and I can see the percent of total for each state. So we can see, DC is highly Democratic and so on, right? But this is kind of a bit hard to look at. So we could maybe make it a, maybe a trellis chart or something like that. But I want to look at a couple of different ways of doing this. Again, if somebody in the chat could let me know that you can see this, that would be great. So I'm going to go ahead and view on YouTube, and we should be good to go there as well. Come on. Okay, so it says stuck again, but I am not stuck on LinkedIn. Okay, you're okay now. Okay, great, thank you. So I'm going to close that. Sorry about that. All right, so but what I'm going to do here, so I'm just going to leave that sheet for now. I have these fields called row and column. Now those should both be dimensions. And I'm going to put column in the column and row in the rows. Now this data set was basically, I forget, I don't think I created it, but basically it just helps us kind of create a tile map of the US. And if I put, let me go ahead and hide that. And I'm going to hide my abbreviation. Okay, so if I put the abbreviation on the text, we can see that we have each of the states here. Okay, so let me just fit it to entire view for now. And we have something like that. Now, what I want to do is I want to look at within each of the columns across time, I want to look at the percent of vote. And I want to look at that. Now this is red because when I saved it, I need to put party in the view. So let me just go ahead and put party on color. And now we can see for each state, we can see the different, so let me take the abbreviation and put that on just detail. We can see the vote by state in each of the elections. So, and then let me just double check my table calc and make sure it's still working right. So the only thing that should be checked is party. So that's good to go, right? So if I add up these years, those add up to 100, add up those, they add up to 100. Okay, so we're good to go there. But I don't really want the other on there, but I need to leave it in the view because it's important for the when we're doing the percent of total, because they still take up a percentage. But actually, maybe I'll do it a different way. Maybe I'll make this, let me make this an area chart instead. And we get something like that. So pretty cool, right? So I think that looks pretty neat. It shows the influence of the what the heck am I talking? The independence. And let me change my color to be fully colored in. And what I want to do now, though, is I'm going to go to my analytics pane, and I would like to see kind of where 50% is on each of these tiles. So I'm going to drag in a constant line for each. I want to do it here, and let's make it 0.5. And now we see for each of these tiles, we can now see where 50% is. So it just kind of helps us see which one is taking up the majority. So I'm going to format this. Actually, let me edit it instead. Let's edit the reference line. I don't want the value on there, so I'm going to say none. Don't want a tooltip, and I want it to be maybe a dashed line like that, but I want to make it thin, and let's make it like 100%. Okay, so now we can see where the 50% line is and which one is above or below. Maybe I can reduce the opacity on this a bit. It looks like the colors are a bit strong. I might even have a color palette for Democrat and Republican. So let me see if I thought that I had one. Do I have one? I have a lot of color palettes. Let's just go with the USA color palette. No, that's not going to be right either. So I believe the Democratic Party will have some official colors. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. It's probably good enough. So, and then what I would do from here is I'm going to format the view. Actually, I'll go up to format on the menu and format the workbook. I'm going to get rid of my grid lines. I'm going to get rid of my 0 lines. I'm going to get rid of my axis rulers. And okay, so that's good to go. And then I'm going to format the view to get rid of my row and column dividers. Okay, and we get something like that. Maybe I'll go ahead and hide the header and then hide the header for these. Okay, and let's see. So then the year, we could probably hide the header for that as well. Actually, why don't we do this? Why don't we? So the year goes from 1980 to 2020, so that should be okay. So let's just get rid of the title. And there we go, right? So we've got every year and every party. Now, the only other thing you might want to do is maybe put a label in the middle of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's say, how many years of data do we have? Let me see. How many years do we have? So let me see. Let me just circle this. So we have 12 elections. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, what's the best way for me to do this? Let's see. Okay. What I want to do is I want to put kind of the abbreviation inside of the state. Well, I could probably do it. Okay, let me try this. So let's call this our, I'll call this my state label. Now there's 12 years, so let's call this state label. And I want to say something like, I want to get the midpoint of the years. So we have 12 years. So we've got 2020. So what's 2020 minus 1976? So that's 44. So we're going to divide that by 22. So 1976 plus 22. 1976 plus 22. So 1998. Okay, so I'm just going to put 1998. I'm just going to hard code it. And I'll do the average of 1998. All right, and I'm going to put that as a dual axis for my year. And let me synchronize. And then I need to go to the all marks card and remove measure names. And then on my state label, I'm going to make it let's see, I'll make it a circle, I guess. Get rid of the party. And let's go ahead and put the state onto the label. And there we go. So that looks pretty good. What I would do now is just reduce the opacity on my circle. And now we just see the labels. Okay, so that looks okay. Now Washington, D.C. doesn't quite fit. So I think what I'll do is I will edit the aliases and I'll just call this D.C. Actually, if I do Washington, I think that's going to make it just as long. Washington, D.C. Okay, let's see how that one looks. And okay, so that's a bit better. We could even just maybe reduce the size of the label. Okay, so now they all fit nice and neat. Okay, so you could do something like that. I'll go ahead and remove this from the tooltip and uncheck show header. And now we can see for each year. Okay, so our columns need to be, and rows need to be on the tooltip. Abbreviation ID. So we want to hide that. Okay, and then on the year, I want to put the state onto the tooltip. Okay, so that we've got the year, the party, the state, and the percent of vote. And I'm going to, just for context, I'm going to put the number of votes onto the tooltip as well. Okay, so we got something like that. All right, so on this shelf, I'm going to not include the tooltip. So that's where we hover over the circle, so we don't want to see anything there. And then in the year, I'm going to say maybe, I'll say something like, where does my, oh, there we go, 1976. And then I'll leave it as party. Number of votes. And then I'll put the percent of votes in parentheses. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the command buttons. Okay, so now we see something like that. So that looks okay. Maybe I'll make the tooltip, I'll make these bigger. And I'll maybe unbold those. Okay, yeah, so that looks better. Okay, so now we've got Democrat, Republican, other, yeah. Okay, so we're good to go. So I kind of like how that one looks. So that looks good. So Sandeep, there's a whole playlist on my YouTube channel for containers. So you can, a couple of those are live streams, so you could watch those as well. All right. So that's good so far. I think one thing that might be interesting to look at is kind of which party won each year, for lack of a better term. So I'm going to make this discrete, and I want to look at the party, and I want to look at the winner. So let's see, so votes. Okay, so I need to kind of write a calculation that tells me the winner. So I'm going to say something like, let's see. So I want to say for each year, I want to get the max votes. And then I want to say if sum of votes, or I could even just say votes, is equal to that, then I want to return the party. Otherwise, I don't want to return anything. So let's actually, yeah, that's fine. And so now if I put that here on the rows, so I've got nulls and Republican. Okay, so then what I want to do then is I want to exclude the nulls. And okay, so this is basically the popular vote. So the Democrats have won the popular vote every year since 1992. That is fascinating. I had no idea. That's pretty cool. But this is just the overall. Okay, so what I want to do though is I want to, let me just duplicate the sheet. I want to create what's called a, what is it called? Like a one loss sparkline. I'm going to actually create a video on this pretty soon. So let's put the year here. I'm trying to remember the best way to do this. I'm going to put, let's see, how do I want to do this? I've got the year. I don't need the party in the view, so I want to get rid of that. And I want to bring the, let's start with the, where's the state? Okay. Why is the state only showing California? I think it's because that is the largest number. Okay. Oh, no, this needs to be by year and state. And then that should give me, okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, so Alaska has always been Republican. And what I want to do is basically I'm going to say if Republican is winner, then assign a 1. If it's Democrat, assign it a -1. So I'm going to say, I'll call this one loss. So I'm going to say if the winner is equal to Democrat, then 1, else if winner is equal to Republican, then -1, end. Okay, so we've gotten that. So if I now put that onto, I think I want to put it onto the columns, right? So I want to make this a bar chart. Okay, and then the year field, how do I want to, I need to take the winner, I'll put that on color, and this needs to go here instead. Okay, so we get something like that. Let me take the votes and move it to detail. And we'll make the Democrat blue, Republican red. Okay, and now this is called a win-loss sparkline. So let me just drag this over a bit. And it's kind of like a unit chart in a way, right? So you can do something like that. Now we could then extend this to maybe our tile map. So if I go to, how did I do my tile map? If I grab the columns and then the rows, and the state is going to go on detail. And then let's make this fit entire view. Right, so now we have something like that kind of shows us the win or loss. So if I make this discontinuous, what is it going to do? Okay, so that's going to make them each a bit fatter. So let me. Okay, I think what I need to do is I need to put the. Is that going to work? Yes, you can kind of see. You can kind of see that way what it looks like. And then let's put the, what did we do before? We put the state label up here, and we're going to synchronize. Go to my all and get rid of the measure names. And then on the state label, I'm going to get rid of winner. I'm going to get rid of votes, and I'm going to make this a circle. And yep. And then I want to put this onto label. Now that doesn't look quite right, does it? Okay. So let's try something else here. I'm going to try state label. I'll just put -2. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to say if. So I want to use the value of 10 instead. Is that going to work? So I'll say if year is equal to, no, that's not going to work either. If state label, then we want to do the average of 2. This is probably a really terrible field name, so let me get rid of that. And instead this time, oh, what does it say? I've got an error message. Oh, if state label, oh, equals year. But then this is going to be okay. And then I want to put this field over here instead. And let's see if this works. So synchronize. And then I want to get rid of measure names. This looks really good in my head, but whether it works out or not is another story. So let's make this a label. Okay, so that did not work. So I think what I need to do, yeah, so it's never going to equal the year. All right. So I'm going to just make this the average of -2. I'm going to break this up into pieces. Okay. And this should just be a circle, right? So now I'm getting lots of circles in here, but I only want one of them. So I'm going to just choose 1996. Okay. So let's say if year equals 1996 and 2 end, and then we'll make this an average. And now I should just get one dot. There we go. And what I'll do this time is I'll put the label kind of in the middle of it, kind of over top of the circle, and I'll just reduce the opacity to 0. Okay, so now we've got another version of the same kind of chart, but this time we're doing it's called a win-loss chart. So it's, I don't know if that kind of makes sense or not. I don't have any idea what you're talking about, Pratik. All right, so we get something like that. Now, the only thing I don't like is that these are I'd like them to be a bit thicker. The problem is it's a bit hard to get it just right by adjusting with the to do it manually. So that's getting close, right? So maybe something like that is good enough. We could also change the size to fixed, and let's say we want to go every 4 years, right? Then, or maybe let's say 3.5. Is it going to let me do that? How about every 3 years? And then I'm going to center them. Okay, so we could do something like that, and then I'll put like no border on. There we go. So that looks a bit better. So this is called a win-loss sparkline. So win-loss. And another one I thought of doing is, so let me create another sheet. What I want to do this time is I want to look at the margin of the margin of victory. I don't know if that makes sense or not. So again, I like these time lapse. So it's kind of what I'm going to sort of stick with here. And then I don't really need that on detail. So hopefully you like the idea. It's an analog watch. I don't have any idea what we were talking about, Pratik. Why would I make an analog watch in Tableau? I'm not quite sure what the purpose of that would be. So we've got the year here. And again, we're looking at what I want to do this time is I want to do the margin of victory. So I'm going to say margin of victory. And I'm just going to say something like if party, let's see, I want to say party equals Democrat. Let's see, so I want to say votes. No, that's not right. I want to convert this into an integer and then multiply that by the number of votes. And then, oh no, these are separate rows though, so that's not going to quite work. Okay, so that's not going to work. I need to create a new calculated field. Actually, maybe I could do it with a table calculation. So if I put, okay, let me try this. I'm going to clear this. I'm going to try this as a, let's make this text just discrete. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to have the party, where is it here? The party. And I want to look at, I'm just going to hide the other. And then what I want to look at is the number of votes. Actually, let's look at the I'm going to look at the percent difference of the percent of votes, but I don't think I can add a secondary calculation. Okay, so we can't do that. So let's look at the votes. And I want to make this a percent difference from. No, let's see, that's not going to be right either. Okay, no, this isn't going to work. Okay, let's get rid of that. All right, so I need to create a couple of calculations then. So let's call this Democrat votes. So I'm going to say for each state and year, sum, I'm going to say if party equals Democrat, then votes, and then end. Okay, so that's going to give me the number of Democratic votes. So let's put that on text. And we see we've got the Democratic votes going all the way across. Okay, great. So let's duplicate that. And this will be Republican votes. Let's change this to Republican. And if we put that onto the table as well, and now we get rid of that, let's move that here. Okay, so now we can see the Republican and the Democratic votes as measures instead of dimensions. Thank you, Harish. That's very nice. It would be great if I could do. It'd be great if I had more time as well, Harish. That would be wonderful. I just don't have time to do them anymore. So that's why this one's just kind of sporadic here. So all right. So now I want to create a calculated field. I'm going to call it vote difference. Actually, I want to call it. Because what I wanted to do is, yeah, that's fine. So I want to do the Democratic vote minus the Republican vote. And then, okay, so I'm just going to do that for now. And I'm going to put this here. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay. So now we can see the difference in votes, right? So California, so the problem now is California is so much bigger than the other states that you can't see the numbers. So we need the changes to percent vote difference. So this is going to be the sum of those divided by the sum of the Republican votes. Okay, so now we're looking at the percent difference, but something is not right here. So that can't be correct. Vote difference. Oh, I used the 5 as well. So first minus last divided by last. So why is that not working? Okay, I'm going to try to build it as a table again. Let me just switch it to a table. Okay, so we have, let me rename this. So this is just vote difference. Okay, I just need to double check our values here. So let's put that on text. Let's put that on text. Okay, so we've got Democrat, Republican, 155, etc. Okay. Right, okay. So I think what's happening here is when we do a percent difference, percent vote difference. So we want to do the absolute of the vote difference divided by the sum of the Republican votes. So that should take care of it. So default properties, number format, percentage to 0 decimals. Okay, so if we drag that on here, so the percent difference is 31% in favor of the Democrats, which looks about right. So if we do 155 divided by 504, yeah, so that's right. Okay, so these calculations look correct now, except the vote difference. Yeah, so this means that it's almost, California is almost twice the Republicans. Okay, that makes sense. And if I go down to Washington, D.C., so something isn't right here. I guess it is right because the vote difference is so huge. So the chart I was thinking of building probably isn't going to work. Okay, so I'm going to just delete the sheet. The numbers are accurate, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to copy the formatting and paste the formatting. Okay, let me get rid of that. Let's hide the header, hide the header, hide the header. Okay. Now I probably actually need to leave the boxes around them. Maybe something else. So that's going to break the view because I still need the labels there. Okay. let's see. So what I could do is if I go into format borders, if I put my row and column dividers back on, we get a nice little grid like that, but I don't want a grid everywhere. I only want the grid where the states are. Okay, so I think I'm going to need to get rid of my label for now. And I'm going to just put in the average of 1. And this, I'm going to get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of, oh, maybe I'll leave that. I'm going to make this an area, make it a dual axis. Okay, so synchronize. So this is only ever going to be, okay, so I need to change this. So this is going to be the average of 1, let's say 1.5. But I want to make this a, can I make it a Gantt bar? I'm going to try something here. And let's make this the average of -3. Okay, so that's the wrong direction. Nope. Okay, so if we go 1.5, and then we go down 3, why does that not work? What I'm trying to do is have my Gantt bar go from 1.5 down to -1.5, but it's not going, is it? Okay. So I'm going to try something else then. So let's switch this back to an area chart. Get rid of that. Oops. And I'll make this a combined axis. There we go. Okay, so that looks better now. The problem now is they don't go beyond the bars. So how can I fix that? Don't know if I can. So let's get rid of that. Oops. But I can't size this. What if I adjust my year? Let's make this go from 19, let's say 68 to 2024. Does that do anything? Okay, that just brings them in off the edge. Okay. And those are bars. And that's not what I want to do. Hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just get this around. I'm trying to get this to go around the bars, but it's just not quite getting there, is it? Maybe, oh, I have an idea. Maybe I could, okay, so let me get rid of that. And let me put my state label back on there. We want to make this the and then the state should be on the label. Okay. Something like that. Okay, we're going to need to spread the years out a bit because actually I need to reduce the size all the way as well. Okay. I'm going to need to make the year range bigger. So let's say 1964 to 2028. Okay, I'm just trying to give my text a bit more room, but it still doesn't look great. Okay, let me uncheck show header. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a reference band for the years for each cell. And I want to go from, I'm going to make this a constant. So let's make this 1972. Okay, so now they go around. The problem now is it's covering everything, which I don't want. Oh, this is annoying. Because I don't want it going. I only want it to highlight the ones that I've chosen. Okay, so I need to get rid of this. I'm a bit stumped here. Well, I guess which one do you like best so far? This one looks pretty cool, I think. I probably should make the other color like a gray, so it's sort of just blends in, something like that. This one probably is the best one so far. I've got the tooltips done. I really like the look of this one, but I think it's very difficult to understand. So maybe I shouldn't do that. And I also don't like how I can't put a border on it. Maybe there's got to be another way I could do that. If I make this an area, right? So that's okay. Let me get rid of that. Yeah, so that doesn't work either here. Oops. Yeah, see, that's still only covering those marks, so that didn't work either. Why am I not able to figure this out? This is quite annoying. I don't know why I can't figure this out. Because this one I did as an area chart on one side. Yeah, it's just an area chart. I still think this one would look pretty cool if I was able to make the row and column dividers work. But I just don't think, if I was able to get these squares around, but only the squares that I want. But I don't know how to do that. Yeah. Okay, so I will just go with this first sheet. So now I need to. I'm going to play around with the colors a bit. So there are. Let's see, what would be a good color palette? Let's maybe make the Democrats kind of a brighter blue. Let's make the Democrats a brighter red. But that's not the color of the. Okay, so let's call Democratic Party official colors. All right. Democratic Party flag. There's a flag. No, that can't be right. So there's the Democratic Party logo. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to, it's actually going to be pretty close, I think. Yeah, and then the Republican Party. Let's see if we get the same thing here. Wikipedia. Okay. And then, so those are the official colors. Okay, so that's not too bad, but I probably need to change now the state label to be white. Oh, what happened there? Oh, need to change the font color. Change it in the wrong place. Okay. So yeah, so those are the official colors for Democrat and Republican. So I think I'm probably going to call it quits there. Any, I probably should go ahead and hide the header. All of my tooltips look good. So in this label, I'm going to make this really small so that nobody kind of hovers over it. Yes, we can see Democrat, Republican, something like that. Any questions before I hang up? It's been fun to kind of get back and do this again. I would just kind of, I think the last thing is I need to come up with some kind of title. I mean, I could do something boring like, state presidential election voting 1976 to 2020. And let's make this one maybe smaller. Make this bold. Something like that, right? So I think that looks okay. Let me make this a bit bigger, maybe 18. Let's make this one like 12. Now, if I throw this into a dashboard to make it a single sheet, come on. It looks good, I think, the size we have right now. So let me, it's this one. So let me get rid of that. And then my inner padding is going to be like 20. Okay, so this needs to be wider or maybe shorter. I'm not quite that short. But I need to make sure that the names of the states fit. So you see how like Washington, D.C. doesn't fit. So maybe what I need to do then, if I go back here, where's the sheet? This one here. And I go to my label. I'm going to just type in. If you type in 7, you can make it 7 point. There we go. But I think maybe I need to make it bold as well. So let me try that. It's very blurry. But I think you get the idea here. Okay, so we've got the percent of vote, the party, and so on. So I think that's, I need to come up with a better title. But I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. Let me shrink this up size-wise a bit. Okay, so that looks, I'm just going to check the size of a square. So those are, it needs to be, so it's 94 wide, 83. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 12. So 8 times 12 is 96. Yeah, so it needs to be about that. Those should be just about perfect squares, I think. Let me try it again. Yeah, they're just about perfect squares. They don't quite look perfect, though, do they? So I could say maybe I'll have the states voted. Okay. And I'm not going to bother with a color legend because I think it's implicit. And yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I will see you soon. Bye.